Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunahame Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. We will see today obstacles in practicing bhakti. So basically, we learned that there's a primary bhakti, the primary bhakti, which is the deep bhakti without any desire, without even the desire to be one with Bhagavan, without any desire to ask for anything. That bhakti which is unbroken, which is ever new, which is directly experienced. That divine bhakti is what we see in great Mahatmas, saints and sages. There's also a secondary bhakti, and the secondary bhakti is the one that with desire, filled with desire, like the tamasic desire of praying to God to harm somebody, or the rajasic desire of praying to God to gain an achievement in the world, or the sattvic desire of praying to God for purity of mind or for moksha. The bhakta doesn't even pray for this. So the ideal devotee doesn't even pray for this. But Naraji said, don't worry. We can start from at least the secondary devotion. At least we're going to Bhagavan. At least we're praying to Bhagavan. So in and through this, he says, watch out for these obstacles. What are they? Sutra number 61. Lokahanau, Lokahanau, Chintana Karya, Niveditatma, Niveditatma, Lokavedashilatvad, Lokavedashilatvad. He says, Lokahanau, with regard to the losses of the world, Chintana Karya, worry ought to be not to be entertained. Why? Nivedita, because Shilatvat will go from back. Shilatvat, because one has the habit of what? Of in the Veda, which is a sacred, in the Loka, which is a secular. Nivedit Atma, one has the habit of surrendering themselves to Bhagavan in the secular and in the sacred activities. So today we'll look at the word Nivedita and how deep it can actually be. Nivedita means something is given, something is offered. And so in a bhakta's case, first of all, there is going to be lokahano. There's going to be this loss. There's going to be a worldly loss in every which way, in everyone. There's a loss of health. Newsflash, everybody has had this. A condition where we lost our health. Maybe we sprained an ankle. Maybe we fell down. Maybe we went through a surgery. Maybe we got really sick. But all of us have gone through some kind of loss of health. Also, there's the loss of wealth, right? Or material possessions. Maybe somebody stole something from us, or we lost money somewhere, or somebody took something from us. So there's a loss of wealth. Then there's also the loss of social status, or a certain position. Maybe we won a competition and next year somebody else won it. Maybe we got a raise in a certain position in the company and the next time somebody else got it. So we lost that. There's also loss of life. Maybe somebody very near and dear to us, we lost them. And so there's a constant loss in the world in every which way. So how do we handle that? So from the Bhakta standpoint, it's not a loss actually. It's not a loss because there is no gain. There's no gain because everything is Bhagavan's. Every being is Bhagavan's. So even this body is Bhagavan's. Bhagavan gave this to me. So if he takes it from me, it's not mine to begin with. I did not gain it. So how will I lose it? The wealth that I have, it's not mine. So I didn't gain it. So how would I lose it? If I lose something, it's just going into the hands of somebody else who's really God, an expression of God. It's just going from one hand of God to another hand of God. If we lose status, it was never mine. It's Bhagavan's only. So whoever's meant to be there is there. And if we lose someone, that being is also Bhagavan's, not ours. So from a bhakta standpoint, there is no loss because there is no gain. And there is no gain because everything is God's. Everything belongs to God. Now, sometimes because of our ignorance, we feel that things are mine, they are ours. And because we feel that things are ours, we entertain this thing called worry. Worry is this emotion that expresses as stress, as pressure, as anxiety, as fear, as all kinds of things, because we don't know what's going to happen. So here it is said, Nivedita, offer our worries to Bhagavan. Meaningfully, consciously take our worry and offer it to Bhagavan. And once we've offered it to Bhagavan, we cannot take it back. What's been given, we cannot take it back. So let us say, if you rented your house, let's say if we sold our house to somebody else, we made a deal, sealed the deal, house sold. Now will we go to that person and say, oh, what are you doing in this bedroom? What color are you painting the walls? And how are you going to do the flooring of the kitchen? Will we do that? No, we've sold the house. Once you sell the house, you make a deal, you don't think about it anymore. It's done. It's not yours. Or what if we sell our car? We meet somebody who's going to buy our car and we sell it. Do we call them up and say, what sound system did you install? And what kind of rims are you putting in your tires? And are you painting the car? Do we call them and tell them? No. So in the same way, when we make a deal with Bhagavan, now I have done what I can do. Now here's the deal. Rest is yours. Sold. Is nivedit. Nivedita means I cannot take it back. I've offered it to Bhagavan. I cannot take the worry back. And if we keep worrying about it, then Bhagavan will just say, you worry. Why are you offering it to me? It's like, when somebody tells us to do something and they keep checking on us. Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? They keep checking and checking again. Did you do it? Then in your mind, you might as well say, well, why don't you just do it? You keep checking on me. We'll get annoyed, right? So Bhagavan is the same way. Once we've given it to him, nivedita. Once we've given it to him, then no more. Back off. Now it's in Bhagavan's territory. Remember, his department is to worry, means take care of our worries. And our department is to just worship. These two cannot be in the same place. Cannot be in the same place. That love for God and worry cannot be in the same being. Because in Bhakti Shastra, what is atheist? An atheist is somebody who worries. That's called an atheist. That's someone who worries because that means there's no faith in God. There's no belief in God. Some might say this is very, very hard because what if we go through difficulties? How do we surrender? How do we let it go? Nivedita, offer it to Bhagavan. Everything happens for a reason. Try to bring to your mind those times when we had really, really tough times. And yet we emerged so strong and we became better. So everything happens for a reason. Just let it go. Just let Bhagavan take over. Offer it to Bhagavan and don't take it back. This is what Nivedita means. Nivedita means, I've offered it to you, Bhagavan. Now I trust you will take care. I will not interfere. Whatever has to happen will happen. Let your will win over. And if that worry comes back to the mind, just say it's Nivedita. It's Nivedita. It's Nivedita. It's already offered. I cannot anymore take it back. So in the loss of the world, Chintana Karya, worry is not to be entertained because this being, this bhakta, has the habit of surrendering all their secular and sacred activities to the Lord of their heart. See, in Vedanta Shastra, there is Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. In Bhakti Shastra, there's also Sat Chit Ananda. We offer Sat, our entire existence, to Bhagavan. We offer entire existence means we use this body, this very life, to serve Bhagavan. We offer Chit, means we use our knowledge, our thinking, our mind to love God, revel in God. And we offer our Ananda, whatever happiness that we want to have or we think we should have. We offer it to Bhagavan and say, let your happiness happen. Let your happiness happen. When there's a partner, when you have somebody, when you love your beloved, what do you say? Whatever you want, let that happen. We surrender. And then the relationship becomes so much more peaceful. You want to do this? Okay, surrender. So like that with Bhagavan, if we really loved him, we really trusted that whatever he does is for our benefit, for the good, then surrender, Nivedita. Okay, now we'll go to the next one. The next sutra, Sutra 62. Natat siddhau, loka vyavaharo heyaha, loka vyavaharo heyaha, kintu phalatyagaha, tatsadhanam cha karyameva, says, not tat siddhau, on attaining it, tat asiddhau, till it is not attained, loka vyavaharaha, the worldly activities, heyaha, they should not be abandoned, na heya. Kintu, but alatyagaha, renunciation of anxieties for the fruits of actions. Tat sadhanam, diligent pursuit of it, cha, and karyam, must be done, eva, certainly without any exception. Till such a consummate love is not gained, or on attaining the consummate love, worldly activities are not to be abandoned. But certainly we must diligently pursue love and learn to renounce our anxiety to enjoy the fruits of our activities. Now this goes back to karma phalatyaga. And we've discussed this many, many times, so I'm just going to touch upon it. So what it says here is those who have attained this bhakti. So this sutra can have two meanings. One, for those who have attained this bhakti, then their worldly activities are not to be abandoned. See, there are different kinds of Mahatmas. Some are the kind who just like to sit quietly and just revel. Some like to work out in society. Some are householders. Some continue in living in and through the day-to-day life. So here, when we have such Mahatmas who are still in the day-to-day life, whom we can actually approach and come to, when we have such Mahatmas, it's a great example for us seekers. So that is why those who have attained it, if they are still in and through the world, then they should still keep doing their dharma, because it's a great example for us. Those who have not attained that bhakti yet, that ultimate bhakti, like us, then it is said, even then, don't abandon worldly duties. Keep doing our dharma, but let go of the results. Now we hear this all the time in Bhagavad Gita. This also came in Narada Bhakti Sutra. So I'm just going to touch upon one point here. What does it mean to let go of results, right? It doesn't mean that we don't think of the future. We can think of the future, but what it means is we don't worry about it. So it's silly to say, don't think about the future. Of course, we have to plan. We have to envision. We have to see how things are going to do or be. We have to see how things are going to be. So in your mind, you plan for the future. You envision the future. And then based on that, based on the goal that one has set, one works towards it, right? But when it says that don't worry about the results or let go of the results, what it means is don't insist that it should happen this way. And this is the only way it should happen, number one. And number two is don't keep thinking what will happen, will it work, will it not work? Don't keep thinking about that, because that'll zap out our energy in the process of doing the project or the work itself. So don't worry or insist. Don't insist upon the type of result that we're going to get. And second is don't worry about it, because it will zap out all our energy. But definitely, yes, we can think and we can plan. And how is it that we can be equanimous? How can we let go of the results? We can only be equanimous and let go of results if we let go in the beginning. Some people forget this. We think that the letting go of the results process only happens at the end. So I'll do my karma, and then whatever happens, I will let go. That letting go is only possible if in the beginning, I let go. So before the action, I already have that attitude that I'm going to do my best, and whatever happens, let it be. I'm not going to insist on any particular result, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to just focus fully on the action. Before the action, already that mindset has to come. Through the action, that mindset has to stay. Then when the results come, then we will be able to let go. So the letting go comes in the beginning, not the end. So that is the secret of this halatyaga, being able to let go of results. And that can only happen in the beginning if our intentions are selfless, if our intentions are pure, if our intentions are divine. So we have to start from there. Okay. Now, coming to the next sutra. Stridhana nastika, Stridhana nastika, Vairicharitram, Nashravaniyam, Nashravaniyam. Sutra number 63. What does it say? Stri. Stri here means women, but also purush, men. So women, men, beings, dhana, wealth, nastika, atheists, vairi, vairi means enemies, nashravaniyam, they should not be listened to. What should not be listened to? Charitram. Charitram means stories, expositions, descriptions on these. So seekers should not listen to descriptions of women and men, wealth, atheists, and enemies. Now here, we have to bring in mind Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse that says there are 3 gateways to Naraka. Naraka meaning hell, hell meaning hellish state of mind. There are 3 gateways. They are what? Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Kama, desire, Krodha, anger, Lobha, greed. And these things cause those 3. So first, let us take women and men, any gender, women, men. We're not talking about women per se, because the descriptions of women like the gopis, like Radhaji, like Sitaji, like Parvati Mata, they are very, very beautiful, very divine, and they can uplift us. We are also not talking about men per se, because again, the descriptions and the stories of Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Shiva, Sri Rama, very, very much uplifting to us. We're not also talking about how a man and woman together who commit to each other, that kind of relationship, that is a very, very beautiful thing also. When a man and a woman together, they commit to marriage, they commit to walk the path together, to evolve together as Sahadharmacharini. Like the wife becomes the Sahadharmacharini. Sahadharmachari, Sahadharmacharini. A husband and wife, they walk together, and their marriage is a way to moksha. So sometimes, generally, when couples get together, they will also speak. It is very natural to speak about husband, about wife, about children, all of that. So we're not talking about that category either. We're not talking about the gopis and Sitaji, Bhagavan Krishna, Bhagavan Shiva. We're not talking about that beautiful relationship between a husband and wife. But what we're talking about here is Nashravaniyam. This is not to be heard when we take a man or a woman or any being, any gender, as an object of lust. Yeah? So when people portray women, men, as an object of lust, or when they talk about them, that there's some songs that portray them as an object of lust. There are some movies, some scenery that portray them as that. There are some talks about that, right? When there is talk about that, when there's a vision about that, when there is songs about that, that can arise lust in someone's heart. And that is kama. Kama here means lust. So those are not to be heard, because there are some places where they're treated as objects of lust. So these kinds of places, they arise kama, they arise lust in a seeker. So nashravaniyam, a seeker on the path, should not entertain that. Should not entertain that kind of thing. Then, what about here? Dhana, wealth. Wealth now, see, if we're in the finance world, if we're working in finance, if you're business, of course you'll talk about money. Of course you'll talk about wealth. So we're not talking about that. But we're talking about when people boast wealth. You're like, they'll say, I have this kind of house in the Hamptons, or I have this kind, 2 houses here, 1 house there, or I have this much in my bank, I have that much in my bank, or I have a Gucci bag, and then I have an Hermes bag, all of that. I have this kind of jacket, this kind of shoes, and everybody starts to compare. I have this kind of television, I have this kind of car. And when people start to talk about all of these things, there's like a desire for more, which is called greed, arises in our heart. So we probably didn't even want that thing, but because we're in such an environment, then we're like, if everybody's talking about their latest watch, right? Everybody has this Apple Watch. It can do so many things. Then somebody bought like a very, very expensive watch, and so everybody's just talking about watches. And I'm in this social setting. So when I go home, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna want a watch. Maybe I already have a watch, but I'm gonna want this $1,000, $2,000 watch for my wrist. Why? Not because of anything, but because I went to some social engagement and that's all they talked about. And somehow that desire just arose in my heart. So this kind of charitra on dhana that can make greed arise. Then we talk about vairi. Vairi here means somebody who creates enmity. There are people who come to us and they'll say, do you know what she said about you? Do you know that he doesn't like you? Do you know that she thinks that you're like this? Unnecessarily, they'll come and create these emotions in us. And we should never entertain that, because our relationship with a person is our relationship with a person. Nobody should come in between. And this is exactly what happened with Manthara and Kaikai. You remember? Kaikai, she loved Sri Rama. Her heart was full of love for Sri Rama. But that Manthara, slowly she came. Slowly she poisoned the mind of Kaikai. Slowly she got there. And Kaikai completely turned. So when we are around such people, what happens is hate also kind of arises in our mind. That hate or that enmity, or even worse, anger. We get so angry at others. Oh, she said this about me. Oh, he said this about me, without even finding out. So krodha. So yes, kama, krodha, lobha means this lust, this anger, this greed. All of these things rise. You might say, why is this anger worst? Why is it so bad? It's so bad because anger has such a crazy effect. You cannot help but express it out. And when we express it, so many things happen. The whole ladder of form happens. So nashravaniyam, these are not to be entertained. Then what about nastika? Nastika here means somebody who doesn't believe in God. Why not engage with them? Maybe they can help us actually understand our faith better. While this is also true, if we are not so firm in our faith, if we are not so firm in our path, then we should just avoid, because we're still weak. We need to understand our path very clearly. Which path are we walking? What does the path say? What do we understand by it? And what are the things that we don't understand? And can we clarify that? Once we are grounded in the path, then it's completely fine. But before we get grounded, stay close to the people who can get us grounded even more, not to the people who can shake us up. So therefore, it says in the path of bhakti, we should stay away from this. Now the question comes that, we live in this world. So inevitably, this is what will happen to us. So how do we handle it? So very, very beautifully, Gurudev says here, I'll read Gurudev's commentary. This is so beautiful, this part. We can reduce and even avoid these unnecessary agitations. When subtle insinuations of hatred for others are put into our mind, or when others start elaborating on women, men, wealth, or the non-existence of the self, on all such occasions, mentally change the station. While smiling and hearing, just tune your mind to the nobler and divine theme of Sri Narada. Then, when the tail-bearing friend goes away, we remain like the lotus leaf in water, unwetted by the water. It is like going to the river for a bath after oiling the body. When we enter into the river of the world outside, let us put on a lavish coat of Narayana oil upon our mind, so that we are not directly touched by whatever comes in contact with us in this world. Our ears will be filled with descriptions of women, wealth, men, and other disturbing conversations. No one can escape. Let it never be absorbed by the mind. Remain forever Narayana center. So it's like we have to go out into that world. So put that Narayana. Guruji was also asked this question. These places are unavoidable. How do we cope when we are in these places, when all they talk about is this, all the things that arise, lust and anger and greed? He said, do the same thing you do in a Vedanta lecture. You listen to a Vedanta lecture the entire time, but after you leave, you have no idea what you listened to. You forget everything. So we are pros at it. We are pros at it because when we listen to a Vedanta lecture, we forget whatever happened. So like that, go through life, and those things that we need not remember, forget about it. All right. Stop here. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.